Okay, so these are some of our favorite comic book stories that we've read recently. So, anywho.
So, like I was saying, I really enjoyed Identity Crisis.
Yes.
It was a very well-written, very self-contained book. So, if anyone's looking for just a good comic book story to read, go read Identity Crisis if you haven't yet. It's nice and self-contained. You don't need to know very much of the what's going on right now, you know.
Yeah, it didn't. I mean, even if you're not that familiar with the Elongated Man or whoever, they really did bring the characters to life in a way that I thought, in a way that even if you were or you weren't familiar with them, you could still definitely get drawn into the story, and you knew who the characters were and why they acted, you know, like what function each of them had within the Justice League, like what their type of character was.
It was just a great, almost kind of deconstruction of the way everyone works, you know, and everyone's relationship with each other in the Justice League, because it is an organization, and because it's an organization, you're going to get different points of view, you're going to get different, you know, people with different what they believe in and everything. And plus, it's a great mystery. It's a great mystery on top of that too. So, very very good story.
Let's see. I think some of the among others, I really loved Kingdom Come. I thought that was very well done. I mean, you got Alex Ross, who is just love
the art.
All of his artwork is just so great.
He really does a full book. He usually just does the cover, you know.
But I mean, not only that. I think I got to give Mark Waid some love, because I love Mark Waid's writing. I think he does some really solid, you know, character work, and that's something that always appeals to me with the writing. Is just, you know, and I think to many people, it's just when they just really seem to get it. You know, they really or get the characters, or how they function, or how they should function, how they should talk. And find fun ways for them to interact that seem completely in character. It's like, for some reason, that's just exciting to do, for some reason. I don't know, just to read about. I don't know.
And plus, it's, again, self-contained, so you don't really need to worry about continuity. And it's, well, I don't know if this is giving anything away. I hope it isn't, but I think this is pretty much common knowledge that Kingdom Come takes place in the near future. Somewhat near future.
And Elseworld's future.
Yeah, and Elseworld's future, so you don't have to worry. Don't worry, that's not exactly how everything will end up. It's an Elseworld story, but, you know, that is fascinating. I do like, you know, getting to see a possible kind of future for these characters.
Yeah. Good night, Edgar. Yeah, I mean, the idea of Superman coming back, and I felt it really got to the heart of Superman. I thought it was a great, one of the best Superman stories ever told, I think. It just really, it really brought everything to the forefront of him. And just the idea of the old heroes coming back because the new heroes are a little bit out of control, a little bit too dark.
It's,
you know, we've heard that type of,
but,
that's been going on recently. Even they started seeing all that back then. As just in the world of comics by the time that was written, because the comic book film boom had not happened yet, obviously. But yeah, no, that was I loved Kingdom Come. I loved Kingdom Come so much. I loaned it to I would buy it, I would loan it to people, and then I would never get it back, and I'd have to buy it again. I had to do that at least twice.
Well, you did that twice, and then I bought it for you once too. You know, and then the last. So we actually did it 3 times.
Yes. And let's see.
Well, another comic. Did you have another?
No. Well, you have another one you want to talk about?
Well, I have a few. So
well, we can go back and forth.
Yeah. So another one that I was going to mention is I don't know if you read this, but I've mentioned it before. It's an older book. It's about 10 years old now, and it's self-contained. It's this book called The Authority. I don't know if how many people have read it.
Warren Ellis.
Warren Ellis's The Authority. Which is, there was one book and then there was another one, both self-contained stories. It's basically just a one-shot. It was a Millennium story, but it's actually very well done. I liked it. I liked the characters. It was intriguing. I read it about 4 years ago, so if you're interested in any kind of, it's kind of old news now, but it's said during the millennium in 1999. But I liked it. The Authority is well written. I like Warren Ellis. He always writes good stuff, and these are original characters that he wrote.
Haven't read Superman Red Sun yet. I see some people asking about that.
I know that story.
Know of it. Haven't got a chance to look at it yet, though.
I didn't read it, but I did read the synopsis because I really just wanted to know what it was about.
Yeah. Obviously, Watchmen. We talked about that before, I guess. But I was going to say, I think I'm a huge fan of Peter David's run on the Incredible Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things that really got me to just love Peter David as a writer in general. I love his stuff, and I love his work on the Hulk in particular. Maybe it's partly because I grew up on it, but he did a two-part story that was collected that was called Future Imperfect, in which it's during a time when Bruce Banner was in charge of the Hulk's body, and he had Bruce Banner's intelligence, and he went in the future and was brought to the future and found a twisted version of himself in the future called now the Maestro that was ruling over a whole bunch of just the whole of the Earth after like World War III had gone off, and it was just so the Hulk is facing him down himself, basically facing all the things that he hates about himself or the things that he's afraid of becoming, as well as the actual danger and all sorts of other things. And it impacted everything, like in the Hulk comic book as well, just the idea that there was this shadow looming that he might one day become. It was just great, and I did read the novel that came from that, What Savage Beast. I thought that was great too, although it helps if you've read Future Imperfect, but I remember that was a big one that I liked a lot.
Another one that I'm a big fan of, someone has mentioned before, reminded me of it, is The Killing Joke, which
Of course.
Joker is one of my favorite villains. I mean, I don't like him as much as Two-Face, but he's a very close second. Villains and just characters altogether. And even though you never quite get to know what exactly the Joker's origin is and what exactly happened to him, I do understand that that's part of the appeal of the character. But The Killing Joke is one possible explanation, one possible origin story of the Joker. But even though in the book itself he does say at the end that it may or may not be his origin story, it is one possible origin story, and I think it's very well told, and it's very much fits the character, and it does explain why he is the way he is, if that was the case at all. But a lot of important things happen in Killing Joke. It happens to characters that we know. It happens to Gordon and Barbara and Batman, and plus you get a possible version of how the Joker came to be. So, and what more can you ask for? And not to mention, it was the artwork was amazing in Killing Joke. I tried to mimic that myself a little bit. It was the birth of Oracle, yes, and a look at what could have happened to the Joker. So that was great.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I mean, there's a lot of Alan Moore that I could mention. I mean, I like some of them just single issues. Like he wrote a Superman annual story that was adapted into a Justice League Unlimited episode called "For the Man Who Has Everything." Which I thought was great.
It's one of the best Superman stories ever written, I think.
It's often referred to as possibly the greatest Superman story ever told. It's like ranks by many as number one.
It's so just perfect, and it's perfect for that character. And it's a very in-depth look into Superman's his own psyche, I guess, and what he does want. And it's just great. It's just great as a story.
Yeah.
And it's not long, it's self-contained.
Yeah.
And of course,
Yeah, it's a lot of just the idea of giving Superman everything he ever wanted, and being kind of trapped in that world, but only in his head, and everyone's trying to help get him out of it. Mm-hmm. The idea that it's his birthday, and you get to see Superman in a way, angry and pissed off in a way that you've never seen him before, and that makes him really, you should check it out.
Yeah.
You've never seen Superman quite like this.
For the
And,
man who has everything.
Yes,
right?
check it out.
Yes.